Hey everybody, how are you? How are you? So I'm following up on New Zealand and the New Zealand attack. Yeah, I want to talk to you about that. Now, YouTube, when I do my normal YouTube searches, particularly on something like this, all I'm getting is the mainstream narrative now. The censorship side is extreme. The censorship side is absolutely extreme. Yet this attack follows templates. It follows a template typical of those we've seen before. It follows a very clear-cut template. It's. I want to add 2 points to my usual things that happen in orchestrated attacks. False flag, critical, key, obvious points. These are two tailor points, in other words, post the attack or during the attack, narratives that typically follow. So in the good old days of Hollywood, square-jawed white males were the cowboy heroes, and anybody who was red Indian or painted looked like red Indian was a bad guy. You know, this is how they played it. Hollywood's still run by the same people today, and those same people now have, as part of their agenda, a different target group in mind. New Zealand itself had come on pretty strong and been warned by Netanyahu that they declared war by suggesting that the attacks on Gaza were illegal and immoral, and the settlement approach was voted against it and for the BDS. Now, who else also voted for boycott Israel? Well, Ireland has, and so has South Africa's pretty cold on the whole Israel-Palestine thing as well. They don't like the way they conduct. So something to bear in mind for future attacks. But that point aside, Netanyahu's declarations of war for voting against Israel's conduct against the Palestinian people are one thing aside. The points I like to always see in my false flag attack is the meaningless symbolic event gesture that has the narrative, they will not destroy us with their hate. We will overcome them. Our love and compassion will overcome the haters. They are just a minority. We are strong together, hugs and tears, hugs and tears. And the one event that symbolized this was a group of Maoris with a sort of rent a crowd following, doing a haka, you know, a New Zealand symbolical thing, a war dance, you know, but only this is a war dance of love and solidarity, you know, and of course it's also perpetrated when we're talking about the criminals being white, and all the pictures of this guy as a killer is a white-faced guy, you know, him in his car snarling like me. I'm going to do my killer face, my white nationalist. I've got no hair, I'm a skinhead, look at the blue eyes. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. You know, take a snapshot of that and you put that on a newspaper page. Everyone's going to have me as the bad guy of great note. So you see this guy frowning and scowling, no masks, no anything clearly about his identity. And then the supposed written agenda, which, you know, apparently references Trump and all these other killings. So it's like, we're a network. The greatest threat to the world right now are these white racist supremacist network. They're talking to each other on the interwebium. They're talking to Norway, the killer there, and they're talking to, you know, all of this. This is all this club, this special club of killers that are out to kill ethnic minorities, and these are the bad guys. So you get this attack, and almost good to go. The New Zealand Prime Minister has a ready-to-bake legislation to remove semi-automatic weapons, almost with immediacy. They're good to go, you know, and they're ready to full on take away the arms in New Zealand as well. It's part of the agenda. And the other thing that often happens, apart from these symbolic moments like this haka that occurred, you know, solidarity for the it's clearly Polynesian Maori, so it's not like there's white people apologizing. It's like they're the bad guys. This is a symbol of New Zealand that is, a brown symbol of solidarity for other brown people. As if anybody like us, if people were truly shot in a mosque, would be happy or comfortable about that. And then there's always the hero story as well. There's the hero story that comes along. The hero story is a narrative where there is some guy or woman or pair, couple, that do something outrageously brave and reduce the killings because of their brave act and never end up killed, and then sits whimsically at the end and say, yeah, anybody would have done what I've done. I don't see myself as a hero, really. There were people dying and I needed to act. So they always have that. It's like at the end of the news when they have the little animal rescue story with a kitty cat that's been taken out of the tree. That just told you the death count on the roads, the earthquake in wherever and the war in whatever. And then just because we like bright and breezy little endings, here's your hero of the moment. And of course, because this is a white man bad narrative, the hero by definition can't be of that ethnicity. And this guy is an Afghani. He's an Afghani. I've tweeted out both these two steps that are what I call the little final dots in the narrative for your false flag attack. I've tweeted them out on the Reset Sniper, by the way, so if you aren't following the Reset Sniper for this kind of content, do so. And you can see this narrative of this guy who apparently stormed the guy with a gun. And amazingly, the guy with the gun never shot him, and because of him storming him, he reduced the amount of killings and the guy ran away. Well, why would he run away? He's there to kill Muslims, apparently, or brown people or ethnicities. He's this Australian racist living in New Zealand, and all he's about is doing damage to as many people as possible of a certain ethnicity, and that's the narrative. Why didn't he just blow the guy straight through the head? The guy's, of course, entirely uninjured, and stormed him, and the bloke turned and ran away. Let me tell you something, as someone who's been in a soldier, when automatic weapons are around and semi-automatic weapons, when bullets are whizzing and spoke, everybody keeps the stuff down. It's a Pavlovian response. It's not even something you can easily override. It's kind of like FOMO buying in a pump market and FOMO selling, panic selling. It's just chaos. There's dust and there's things whizzing, and it's blah 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 blah, and you can't hear where it's from because there's echoes, and the whizzes come first, then the sounds of it's chaos. I've been in automatic fire shootout situations. I've been in ambush situations in the military, so I can tell you, no one goes stand up and charge into wherever the gunfire is coming from and expect them to turn around and run away, and you're the guy who chased them off bare-chested and all unarmed. I'm sorry, that narrative just doesn't fly. It doesn't fly at all. I'm not to say that there's never been people that have been heroic. Of course there are, but the notion in big automatic weapon fire shootouts that you get these kind of action just doesn't happen. Hit us up with likes if you appreciate this kind of live stream content. So my suspicion is this is engineered event. Was I there? Do I know that for fact? No, I don't. I never said there was automatic weapons. We've got ourselves a troll here for the control structure on the live stream. You can't type fast enough, it seems. Anyway, so watch out for censorship. YouTube, if you even think, hey, this seems to have a little bit of a template to it, I wonder if it's a legit or an orchestrated event. You'll probably have your YouTube removed. I'm part expecting it. I'm saying there's a smell to this. Could it be real? Possibly. Was I there? Certainly not. Do I know every detail of what went on there? I couldn't possibly. I'm sitting in another part of the planet. Does it follow a template that I only that I've seen before? Yes, it certainly does. Was there a crisis actor that seemed to be hired and whose profile has now disappeared all of a sudden? Yes, there was a lady with a name on a crisis actor site. So there's a lot of ticks in boxes that appear to have been passed through. So all I can say is it smells of template. It smells what we've seen before. It's deemed to villainize one group of people. Khan, the mayor of London, was out very, very quickly saying, you know, I've had to live with this before. The continual persecution. This is nothing new. We need to be strong, you know. So all these guys get to look presidential and tough and long-standing and long-suffering. As a result of this, so all the spokesperson that could milk the event have clearly had their speeches ready and are well primed to come running out, etc., etc. So who knows whether it is legit, whether there were actually people shot. There could well have been. Some people have said, have you seen the blood? Or, you know, there was blood running. Did you see the live stream? It could well all be real carnage, and anybody who has died, I have absolute empathy for anybody who is in a situation who's lost family members in an event like this. It's absolutely tragic if it has happened, and as I say, I can't comment on whether it has, but what I can see is that the aftermath, the reaction, the response seems to be very, very templated. So was it a legit actual murderous event that occurred but was set up, or is it all fake? I don't know, and I can't possibly comment. And anyone who has suffered or lost life has my absolute empathy. And all race-based or ethnicity murder is even worse than any normal murder, and we should all stand in solidarity in saying that. It just seems exceedingly convenient that it's followed the usual templates, that it's followed something along the lines of guns and firearms, and the response seems to be that which America is so desperate to get through, in that you've got the New Zealand Prime Minister almost committing single-handedly to new legislation, which, if you're a Prime Minister, you can put things forward to be legislated. You can't guarantee that they get forward. She's making such extreme commitments. There are also people that have highlighted that Clinton and Podesta were recently in New Zealand, just Podesta. There's some oily characters that seem to have a bad habit of showing up just prior to the horrible events. That doesn't necessarily prove much, but it's also circumstantial and fingerprint type DNA of those kind of attacks. So that's my take. Worrying times, worrying development in a peaceful country that typically hasn't fallen foul of this, and I hope their defiance of the Greater Israel Project hasn't seen them get dragged into the fray, much like their bigger brothers, Australia, the UK and the United States of America. I hope New Zealand doesn't suffer further. I also hope that Ireland doesn't have any events for their reaction to Palestine, and that we don't have a white supremacist murder killer in South Africa that then triggers a genocide spree against white South Africans either. These are all things I have real fears for, and then it'll be, well, you started it, so-and-so, Wit Wolf, White Wolf, shot X amount of people in downtown Johannesburg, and now you lot have all been butchered. I worry for all these orchestrated race war baiting events. I worry for where it's taking us. I worry for the plan that the people who are setting up certain people as bad guys to create potentially a whole bunch more. But it's an interesting time. It's an interesting event, and often look at the eventual reaction that goes through to recognize who really gains from such an event. Certainly white supremacist movements don't get any benefit, if and where they exist, don't get any benefit out of that, apart from stigmatizing an ethnicity, which I suspect is kind of part of the plan. And supposedly making it very easy and comfortable for people to see similar violence taken out against those same people, which could include any of us. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Follow us on the Reset Sniper for any updates. Far from an expert on this. One thing I can say that is the social media and YouTube platforms are absolutely squashing the ability for people to raise questions about this event. It's virtually impossible to get a search phrase answered where you might say fake attack or false flag on the New Zealand. You literally won't find any content being broadcast to you. So it is, they're testing how well their AI bots on censorship suppression are working, and I can report real well, and this clip may not last very long itself, so we'll see. Okay, guys, thanks for checking in and saying hi, and as ever, I don't know anything, I'm just thinking out aloud and postulating. Seems some similarities, seems some templates are in plan, and anybody who's lost life as a result of this attack is totally condoned from my side, and is an utter tragedy. How much it's been engineered, we can't tell. Maybe it's 100% legitimate, maybe it was an engineered attack but a real attack, maybe it was engineered and very well acted out, who knows. But I don't think it's passing the sniff test for me on all levels, and I think you should see who comes out of it looking bad, who comes out of it looking good, by the follow-up, and what legislation gets enacted as a result of it, and if New Zealand has any change of policy towards the Greater Israel project as well in the not too distant future.